Okay, dear guys, today we will discuss about measurement and scale. This is the third unit. So generally measurement means what we feel is it is something can be taken by a tailor, right? This is what we just know about it. But coming to the subject, here it is different. So we use it to measure something. So measurement, it is a process of assigning numbers to the characteristics of object. So object means it can be any object or thing. So how we are assigning number to that particular object or thing, it is known as measurement. So every object has certain characteristics. For example, building has height, length, width, area, etc. So human beings are also having characteristics like height, weight, age, education. So this can be given some number. So we will assign some numbers to these characteristics. This is known as measurement. When you go to a tailor, he'll take your height. So that should be a number. Width measurement, it should be in a number. So a process of assigning numbers to the characteristics of objects is known as measurement. Clear? Suppose someone asks you what is your height. So you may say 160 centimeters or 5 feet 6 inches, etc. like that. So now the question is, what is this 160 centimeter refers to? Answer is, it represents or refers your height or characteristics of you. So height is your characteristic, weight is your characteristic. So when we are assigning that number to that particular characteristic, it is known as measurement. So here it means centimeter is a yardstick to measure your height characteristic. So personally, but professionally like that, so any building measurement or some like that. So therefore, to express the characteristics in numerics, we should measure it, isn't it? So measurement can be defined as process of assigning numbers to the characteristics of objects or events in such a way that it should reflect some aspect of reality. So it should be real again. So what is simply you are assigning numbers to the characteristics of objective, that is known as measurement. So we'll see another definition. It is a process of mapping aspects of domain, characteristics, onto the aspects of range, that is scale, according to some rule of correspondence. This is a technical definition. So you have to map the characteristics onto the scale. There should be some law again. Suppose somebody is asking height. It should be in centimeters or in feet. It should not be in kilograms. So there should be some rule of correspondence. So therefore, in measuring, we devise some form of scale in range to transform or map the properties of the objects. So there should be some, we will develop a scale. So we will again map the characteristics of the objects into the scale. So in measuring, we are also assigning the number of abstract characteristics to the objectives, like motivation, attitude, liking. These can also be done. So abstract characteristics, it is known as how much motivated you are. Again, we have to give some number. Ratings will be there. How satisfied you are. In fact, satisfaction, you cannot measure in something height or weight like that. So it is abstract characteristics. We will give ratings to this. How you are liking this, how much you are liking, likeliness of the product. So it is also considered in measurement. So in addition to physical characteristics like height, weight, age, width, area, length. So this can also be measured. So there are certain errors in the measurement as it is taken by the human beings. Always there should be some errors. Where there is a human, there is a error, right? So what errors we will have in the measurement, that we will see now. So it may occur due to the respondent, or due to the measurer, or due to the instrument, or due to the situation. So these four are the errors in the measurement. So once again, measurement means what? It is a process of assigning numbers to the characteristics. So characteristics may be abstract characteristics or physical characteristics like height, weight, area, width, length, depth, and abstract characteristics like motivation, and then likeliness, satisfaction, these things. So there are certain errors in the measurement. So while measuring that, so it may be a respondent error or measurement error or instrument error or situation error. So what is this respondent error? A respondent may have strong negative feeling towards an object or event, but he won't express it due to his less or little knowledge and don't want to show his ignorance. So this is respondent error. He or she don't know anything about that particular characteristics, but they fail to express it. So it will become a respondent error, because if they express, people may heckle that, won't you know this many simple things? So with that fear, they don't express anything about it. They cover their illiteracy. So this will become results in a respondent error. Therefore, it is an error in measurement resulting from respondent, because respondent don't know about the measurement. So then it will become a respondent error. The reasons for respondent error is fatigue, boredom, anxiety. Fatigue means extreme tiredness. Boredom. A respondent feels bored about the work or measurement. Respondent is very much anxiety. So these will limit in respondent to respond accurately. So this is respondent error. Next is measurer error. Measurer means behavior, style, and looks. Encourage or discourage replies from respondent. Suppose a person is going to collect the data or to measure. He should behave well. He should have a proper style. I mean, attire should be good, and he should look politely, gently, actively, like that. Suppose he is arrogant, rude, and he's expressing something in a different way, then respondent do not respond. Respondent means the people who is giving the feedback to you. If he or she denies to respond, then it will become a measurer error. Because measurer is not behaved properly, because measurer attire is not proper, because measurers looks awkward, rude, inactive, tired, so the counterparty will not respond. Why should I respond to them? So for example, if you go somewhere to the shopping malls or some other way, the person should come and politely ask us to give the feedback. If they are harshly behaving or irritating us, then we do not respond. So it is one type of error. So what you have to feel is you must be careful about your behavior, style, and looks. Second, rewarding, reordering, reframing. Sorry, rewording, reordering, reframing. Distract responses from the respondent. So you should be clear and well planned, well decided before you go to the respondent what you are supposed to ask, what responses you are supposed to get. That should be decided in advance. After going there, you are confusing, you are repeating it again and again, you are irritating them, then respondent do not feel. So you should not talk like that. Then if careless mechanism is there, you are very careless, then even people will not respond. You won't get the proper findings. If mechanism is not good, then you don't get any findings proper. Then incorrect coding, tabulation, these also leads to error. So if measurer itself don't know how to tabulate the data, how to code the data, then what happens? It results in error. So these are all the several reasons for error from measurer side. Then the instrument itself has become an error. how if you are having complex words, suppose you have developed a scale, how much you have motivated, how likely you are, then you have to give some options: extremely good, very good, good, average, can't say, extremely unhappy, unhappy. These kind of words you will use by giving some numbers. So this can be understood by the people. But if you are using very complex word, technically jargon words, then people will find no, they don't want to answer because they didn't understand it. Then there is an ambiguity in meaning. It is conveying two meanings at a time, double meaning. Double meaning is not what you are thinking. Simultaneously, it is giving two meanings. Then people don't respond. What is this? How we have to understand? Is it like this or it is like this? So there is a confusion. Then poor printing. Printer is not working or Xerox is not working. Some problem is there. So that also results in people don't find time to read with utmost interest. So that also limits. Then inadequate space for replies. You're asking a question and respondent want to write 5 to 10 lines, but you are giving only 2 lines space. So he cannot respond because he wanted to add more. So if you give the inadequate space, then they don't respond. And if you are providing only few choices, omission of choice, people expect many choices. For example, in voting, Election Commission of India has given nota option also. So no one, I don't like that. If that option is not given, people who are like to cast on nota, they don't come. So you have to give all possible responses in your choices. You should not delete on your own. You have to provide all the options. Then people may select it. People want to give no answer, but you have not given that choice. There is no in that. Then they don't respond. So these can make the meaning instrument defective. If these kind of errors are there in the scaling, then the measurement instrument itself is a defective instrument. Then situational errors are also there. If someone else is present along with the interviewer, he or she may distract responses due to the anonymity between the interviewer and third party. If somebody is present, we don't feel comfortable to answer. We expected an interview between two members, but the interviewer brought 2 or 3 more people extra along with him. He is carrying. Then we don't respond because the person is unknown to you. Anonymity is there. So it distracts the responses. So there is no privacy, and so it will become a situation error. Suppose you are in some other situation where you cannot respond, that also become a situation error. Not only somebody is presenting, suppose if you are not feeling well, then it is a difficult one. So it leads to situational error. So percentage error means how we have to find out the percentage means measured value minus actual value by actual value. So what is the value you have measured and what is the actual value divided by actual value? Then you will get percentage error. Then we have to find out the validity and reliability of the measurement. So clear measurement is a process of assigning numbers to the characteristics. It may be a physical characteristic or abstract characteristics. And there are 4 types of measurement errors. One is respondent error, another one is instrument error, then measurer error, then situation error. Next, what is the validity and reliability of the measurement? Accuracy in measurement is defined as one which has both validity and reliability. So when you can say your measurement is accurate means when it has both validity and reliability. So what do you mean by validity of the measurement? Validity means if the measurement or scaling technique is free from systematic error, then it is known as valid. So it must be free from systematic error. What is that systematic error? We will see. So systematic error may arise from the instrument itself, like user of the instrument. So user should have the knowledge about how to use the instrument. If the user itself is not having knowledge, then it is a systematic error, system error, because he do not know. When the user do not know the subject, it will become an error. When user don't know the environment in which scaling procedure is administered, then it will become an error. So our instrument should be free from systematic error. Then it is known as valid one. So it should not become a misfire. In testing the validity of the scale, the researcher or can consider any of the following. One is content validity, criterion validity, construct validity. So there are three types of validities again. Content validity means it refers to the subject matters or the topics of the characteristics being measured. Content, what topic you are measuring, what characteristics you are measuring. If all the contents are present in the instrument, then it is known as measurement is valid contently. Your content is good, so measurement is having a valid content. For example, if we are interested in measuring the overall attitude towards Food World restaurant, so there is a restaurant named Food World. So in that you have to include all the characteristics like quality of the product or service, pricing, customer service, range of the product, hygienity, location, etc. So if any content is missing from the instrument, we won't get overall attitude of the respondent. Therefore, it will become invalid because of lack of content. So whenever you want to know about the total content, then you have to include all the characteristics. Suppose if location is missing, hygienity is missing, and you have just given that questionnaire, respondent will respond. But in this particular parameter, you cannot provide any answer. So that's why it is having lack of content. So while you measuring the scale, you have to keep in mind that it should be valid contently. So hence all the precautions must be taken to include all the characteristics of any object or topic in the measurement. Then it is known as it is valid through content. Then criterion validity. Here the researcher develops or obtain another scale criterion against where the scaling results can be matched. It means criterion validity can be assessed by correlating the set of scaling results under study with some other set developed from another instrument that is administered at the same time. Like does it work? Compare with another which is working. So it is criterion valid. Criterion validity means our measurement should be compared with others. Whether am I developing the correct one or not, and whether it will work out or not, checking. So then it will become a criterion valid. So then construct validity means here the researcher try to find out not only does it work, but also why it is working. So how it is working, that mechanism also you want to know. Then it will become construction of validity. It again has three categories. One is convergent validity, discriminant validity, nomological validity. So construct validity is of three types. One is convergent validity, discriminant validity, nomological validity. So convergent validity means find the correspondence or similarity or connection between the results obtained by two or more methods. So it should be the same. Suppose somebody is measuring, the results is different, and some other person is measuring, the result is different. It should not be like that. So if two or three methods you are following and you are getting the same value, then it is having convergent validity. Suppose you want to know the your what oxygen levels. Now you have you want to test with pulse oximeter. There are 2-3 pulse oximeters are there with same companies, and these 3 pulse oximeters should give the same value. Suppose in one pulse oximeter it is giving something different, and another pulse oximeter is giving something different, then it is not having validity. Indeed, they are having some difference. Then it is not having convergent validity. All the methods should give the same value. Then discriminant validity means what is the compassion and more working technique should be adopted. Is there any more additions you want to add? Then it will come under discriminant validity. Discrimination means you have freedom to decide what should be included and what should be eliminated. You will be given free hand. That is discriminant validity. And nomological validity means find how it is applicable in various studies by building nomological set or nomological network. How it works in different studies. For example, nomological validity tests are essential for adequate evaluation of social cognitive theory. So does it work out or not? Suppose in the HRM or in MOB, you might have studied different theories like Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory, and then Hertzberg two-factor theory, need and power centric theories. Some motivation theories are there. No? So whether it will work out or not, that you have to test. In all the situations, it will work out or not. For example, law of demand is there, or some other law of supply is there. Does it work out in all the situations for all the product? No, it is having certain exceptions. Then it won't possible. So how these theories or measurements are working in all the condition or not? That is nomological set. In simple words, often researcher fails to specify the prediction. In that case, we need to take the help of ancillary assumptions and nomological network. This comes under what the validity of the measure. So it will come for 15 marks, guys. So this entire unit is it is the basic for your research. In the future, if you want to do any research projects, or if you want to do any project in the 4th semester, or if you are going for higher studies like PhDs, even if you work for something, then these are the basics in research. First, we will start right from the measurement. So I'll share these notes also with you. Tomorrow, I want that somebody should revise it and give some 5 to 10 minutes presentation on it. So what is measurement and what you have understood. So measurement and measurement errors and how we can identify the validity of the measurement. Is it okay?